नमस्कार। आज तारीख है 24 अक्टूबर 2025 और आज के मेजर न्यूज़पेपर्स द हिंदू, द इंडियन एक्सप्रेस और पीआईबी जैसी गवर्नमेंट वेबसाइट्स को अच्छे से देखने के बाद हम आपके लिए लेकर आए हैं एक ऐसा एनालिसिस जिसे आप इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते।
बिल्कुल।
सीरियसली, क्यों सुने? बिकॉज यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन में डेली न्यूज़ एनालिसिस कितना क्रिटिकल है ये तो आप जानते ही हैं। बट यार, इन्फॉर्मेशन का फ्लड इतना है कि रेलेवेंट क्या है और टाइम वेस्टर क्या, ये फिगर आउट करना ही अपने आप में एक टास्क बन गया है।
सही बात है।
हमारा मिशन टू कट थ्रू द नॉइज। हम आज की मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट खबरों को डिस्टिल करके सिंपल, इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड फॉर्मेट में पेश करते हैं।
हाँ, ताकि आपका फोकस बना रहे।
इससे आपका सबसे वैल्यूएबल एसेट टाइम बचेगा और आप एग्जाम के लिए क्रूशल बातें कभी मिस नहीं करेंगे। एकदम ताज़ा सेम डे कवरेज जिसे आप कहीं भी कभी भी सुन सकते हैं।
और हाँ, रिवीजन को सुपर स्मूथ बनाने के लिए इस डिस्कशन के कंसाइज नोट्स रोज हमारे टेलीग्राम चैनल पर अपलोड किए जाते हैं।
हाँ, वो रिवीजन नोट्स बहुत हेल्पफुल होते हैं।
बिल्कुल। और आज की चर्चा में हम सिर्फ हेडलाइंस नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं, वी आर गोइंग डीप। हमारा लक्ष्य है हर टॉपिक की तह तक जाना, उसके एवरी एस्पेक्ट को समझना, चाहे वो पॉलिटी एंड गवर्नेंस हो, राजनीति और शासन, इकोनॉमी, अर्थव्यवस्था, इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संबंध, साइंस एंड टेक, विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी, एनवायरनमेंट, पर्यावरण, सिक्योरिटी, सुरक्षा या सोशल जस्टिस, सामाजिक न्याय।
एक 360 डिग्री पर्सपेक्टिव है ना?
एग्जैक्टली। ऑब्जेक्टिव है आपको एक 360 डिग्री पर्सपेक्टिव देना, ताकि आप इन्फॉर्म्ड ओपिनियंस बना सकें और एग्जाम्स में कॉन्फिडेंटली लिख सकें।
फैंटास्टिक। तो चलिए कमर कस लीजिए, शुरू करते हैं आज का डिटेल्ड एनालिसिस। लेट्स स्टार्ट विद पॉलिटी एंड गवर्नेंस, राजनीति और शासन। पहली धमाकेदार खबर है इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया ECI से। ECI जल्द ही पूरे भारत में इलेक्टोरल रोल्स के स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन SIR का शेड्यूल अनाउंस करने वाला है। भाई साहब, ये SIR क्या चीज है? समरी रिवीजन तो सुना था, ये इंटेंसिव रिवीजन मतलब कुछ हैवी ड्यूटी लग रहा है।
हाँ, ये डिफरेंस समझना बहुत जरूरी है, क्रूशल है। SIR कोई मामूली सालाना अपडेट या समरी रिवीजन यानी संक्षिप्त पुनरीक्षण नहीं है। देखो, समरी रिवीजन में बेसिकली क्या होता है, जो लोग 18 साल के हुए उनका नाम ऐड किया जाता है, या जिनकी डेथ हो गई या जो शिफ्ट हो गए उनका नाम हटाया जाता है। बेसिकली इंक्रीमेंटल चेंजेस, छोटे मोटे बदलाव।
अच्छा।
बट सर, यानी स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन, विशेष गहन पुनरीक्षण, ये एक होल डिफरेंट बॉल गेम है। ये पिछले 2 दशकों में, यस 2 डेकेड्स में पहले बार हो रहा एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव डोर टू डोर वेरिफिकेशन प्रोसेस है।
डोर टू डोर, वाह।
हाँ, दरवाजे दरवाजे जाकर वेरिफिकेशन होगा। इसका मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव है इलेक्टोरल रोल यानी मतदाता सूची को एकदम शुद्ध, प्योर और एक्यूरेट सटीक बनाना। इमेजिन करो, वोटर लिस्ट की पूरी स्प्रिंग क्लीनिंग एकदम स्क्रैच से।
वाओ, 2 दशकों में पहली बार, दैट्स ह्यूज। तो इसके पीछे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल और लीगल बैकिंग क्या है? ECI के पास पावर कहाँ से आती है ये सब करने की?
एब्सोल्युटली। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली आर्टिकल 324 अनुच्छेद 324, मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं, आर्टिकल 324 ECI को इलेक्शंस कंडक्ट करने का सुपरिंटेंडेंस, डायरेक्शन और कंट्रोल देता है। इसमें वोटर लिस्ट प्रिपरेशन भी शामिल है।
ओके, आर्टिकल 324
एंड आर्टिकल 326 अनुच्छेद 326 अगेन आर्टिकल 326 अडल्ट सफरेज, वयस्क मताधिकार का प्रिंसिपल एस्टैब्लिश करता है, यानी 18 साल से ऊपर के हर सिटीजन को वोट देने का अधिकार है अनलेस डिस्क्वालिफाइड अदरवाइज।
राइट, अडल्ट सफरेज।
स्टैट्यूटरली द रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ द पीपल एक्ट 1950, जनप्रतिनिधित्व अधिनियम 1950 स्पेसिफिकली वोटर लिस्ट्स की प्रिपरेशन और रिवीजन से डील करता है। तो ECI के पास कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मैंडेट भी है और लीगल मैंडेट भी, फुल पावर।
गॉट इट। तो ये की कॉन्सेप्ट्स, इलेक्टोरल रोल, समरी रिवीजन, इंटेंसिव रिवीजन क्लियर हुए। इसमें BLOs का क्या रोल रहेगा? ये कौन होते हैं?
BLOs are the foot soldiers, the ground warriors of this entire exercise. वो ECI के फील्ड लेवल फंक्शनरीज हैं। बेसिकली हर पोलिंग एरिया के लिए एक BLO होता है, जो उस एरिया के इलेक्टोरल रोल को मेंटेन करने के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल है।
अच्छा, ग्राउंड लेवल वर्कर्स।
हाँ, SIR प्रोसेस में BLOs डोर टू डोर जाएंगे। उनका काम होगा करंट इलेक्टर्स को लास्ट इंटेंसिव रिवीजन के रोल से मैप करना। ज्यादातर स्टेट्स में लास्ट SIR हुआ था 2002 से 2008 के बीच। अगर किसी वोटर का नाम उस पुराने रोल में मिल जाता है तो उन्हें एलिजिबल मान लिया जाएगा। सिंपल।
ओके, तो जिनका नाम पुराने रोल में है उनका काम सॉर्टेड है।
हाँ, काफी हद तक। बट जो लोग उस लास्ट एसआईआर के बाद एनरोल हुए हैं, उन्हें अपनी एज, रेसिडेंस और सिटीजनशिप प्रूफ करने के लिए डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिट करने होंगे।
अच्छा, डॉक्यूमेंट्स। क्या आधार चलेगा? आजकल तो हर जगह आधार ही मांगते हैं।
पैनेसिया फॉर एवरीथिंग।
इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट। और ईसीआई ने ये बहुत क्लियर किया है, आधार कार्ड विल बी एक्सेप्टेड ओनली एज प्रूफ ऑफ आइडेंटिटी,
पहचान का प्रमाण। इसे सिटीजनशिप, नागरिकता या रेसिडेंस, निवास का कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ, निर्णायक सबूत नहीं माना जाएगा। नॉट एट ऑल।
ओह, ओके, ये क्लैरिफिकेशन जरूरी था।
हाँ, एसीआई एक्सेप्टेबल डॉक्यूमेंट्स की प्रॉपर लिस्ट जारी करेगा। सो आधार इज जस्ट वन पीस, नॉट द होल पजल हियर।
ओके, गुड क्लैरिफिकेशन। और ये पूरे भारत में एक साथ क्यों नहीं हो रहा? वाया फेज्ड रोल आउट।
स्केल देखो, मास्टरची देखो, ओवर 900 मिलियन इलेक्टर्स, 900 मिलियन से ज्यादा मतदाता, पूरे देश में एक साथ करना लॉजिस्टिकली नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल है। रिसोर्सेज, मैन पावर, ट्रेनिंग, इट्स अ मैमथ टास्क।
हाँ, बात तो सही है।
इसलिए स्टैगर्ड अप्रोच यानी चरणों में किया जा रहा है। फेज 1 में उन स्टेट्स को प्रायोरिटी दी जाएगी जहां 2026-2026 में इलेक्शंस होने हैं, जैसे असम, केरला, तमिलनाडु, वेस्ट बंगाल और पुडुचेरी।
अच्छा, जहाँ चुनाव है पहले वहाँ।
हाँ, कुछ जगहों जैसे जम्मू एंड कश्मीर और लद्दाख में डिफिकल्ट वेदर कंडीशंस की वजह से ये एक्सरसाइज बाद में होगी। प्रैक्टिकल कंसिडरेशंस।
मेक सेंस, लेकिन सवाल ये उठता है कि 2 दशकों बाद ही इसकी जरूरत क्यों पड़ी? समरी रिवीजन से काम क्यों नहीं चल रहा था? व्हाट वेंट रॉन्ग?
देखो, समरी रिवीजन इंक्रीमेंटल होती है। जैसा मैंने कहा, छोटे छोटे चेंजेस। ओवर टाइम एरर्स अक्यूमुलेट हो सकते हैं, गलतियां जमा हो सकती हैं, जैसे इनएलिजिबल वोटर्स का नाम लिस्ट में रह जाना, जिन्हें गोस्ट वोटर्स कहते हैं।
अच्छा, गोस्ट वोटर्स।
हाँ, या फिर जेन्युइन वोटर्स का नाम लिस्ट से हट जाना, जिसे रॉन्गफुल एक्सक्लूजन कहते हैं। सोचो, 2 दशक एक लंबा टाइम है, जनरेशंस चेंज। ईसीआई को लगता है कि पोल की एक्यूरेसी, सटीकता और इंटेग्रिटी, अखंडता इंश्योर करने के लिए अब एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव प्यूरिफिकेशन ड्राइव, एक शुद्धिकरण अभियान जरूरी है।
प्यूरिफिकेशन सुनने में तो अच्छा लगता है।
हाँ, ताकि फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शंस, स्वतंत्र और निष्पक्ष चुनाव का फाउंडेशन मजबूत रहे। फाउंडेशन स्ट्रांग नहीं होगा तो बिल्डिंग कैसे टिकेगी, है ना?
बिल्कुल। बट चैलेंजेस तो होंगे, प्रैक्टिकल डिफिकल्टीज क्या होंगे?
चैलेंजेस जबरदस्त हैं, ह्यूज चैलेंजेस। लॉजिस्टिकल चैलेंज सबसे बड़ा है। इतने सारे बीएलओज को मोबिलाइज करना, उन्हें प्रॉपर्ली ट्रेन करना, डेटा मैनेज करना, इमेजिन द अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा, डिफरेंट एजेंसीज के बीच कोऑर्डिनेशन बिठाना, ये अपने आप में हरकुलियन टास्क है।
हाँ, ये तो है।
फिर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव चैलेंजेस हैं, एंड सबसे सेंसिटिव हैं पॉलिटिकल एंड सोशल चैलेंजेस। असम का एग्जाम्पल देखो, जहां इसे एनआरसी से, नेशनल रजिस्टर ऑफ सिटीजन्स, राष्ट्रीय नागरिक रजिस्टर से लिंक करने की बात हुई थी। कितना बवाल मचा था।
हाँ, वो तो बहुत कंट्रोवर्शियल हो गया था।
इससे सिटीजनशिप पर कंट्रोवर्शियल डिबेट्स फिर से शुरू हो सकते हैं। एंड द बिगेस्ट फियर इज डिसएनफ्रेंचाइजमेंट, मताधिकार से वंचन, यानी एलिजिबल जेन्युइन वोटर्स का लिस्ट से बाहर हो जाना। स्पेशली वल्नरेबल ग्रुप्स जैसे माइग्रेंट्स, अर्बन पुअर, नोमैडिक कम्युनिटीज, जिनके पास प्रॉपर लेगेसी डॉक्यूमेंटेशन की कमी हो सकती है, उनके लिए ये प्रोसेस नाइटमेयर बन सकता है।
ये तो डबल एज सॉर्ड है। प्योरिटी के चक्कर में इंक्लूसिविटी कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं होनी चाहिए। यूनिवर्सल अडल्ट फ्रैंचाइज का प्रिंसिपल ही खतरे में पड़ सकता है।
एग्जैक्टली। यही ईसीआई के लिए सबसे बड़ा बैलेंसिंग एक्ट है, रोप वॉक है बिल्कुल। प्रोसेस को सिंपल, एक्सेसिबल और एम्पैथेटिक बनाना होगा।
हाँ, एम्पैथी बहुत जरूरी है।
तो रोल्स ज्यादा एक्यूरेट होंगे, इलेक्टोरल मॉल प्रैक्टिसेस कम हो सकती हैं, लॉन्ग टर्म में पब्लिक ट्रस्ट बढ़ेगा ईसीआई में। लेकिन मिसमैनेजमेंट हुई तो लिटिगेशन, कंट्रोवर्सी बढ़ेगी और ईसीआई की क्रेडिबिलिटी पर सीरियस सवाल उठ सकते हैं।
सो व्हाट्स द वे फॉरवर्ड? आगे की राह? हाउ कैन ईसीआई नेविगेट दिस?
ट्रांसपेरेंसी इज की। एवरीथिंग शुड बी ओपन। क्लियर गाइडलाइंस होनी चाहिए। रोबस्ट ग्रीवियंस रिड्रेसल मैकेनिज्म एट एवरी लेवल, ब्लॉक, डिस्ट्रिक्ट, स्टेट। Extensive public awareness campaigns, especially for marginalized groups, using local languages and accessible media.
हाँ, अवेयरनेस कैंपेन्स तो बहुत क्रूशल होंगे।
और डॉक्यूमेंट्री रिक्वायरमेंट्स में फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी होनी चाहिए, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रिंसिपल्स को ध्यान में रखते हुए, ताकि कोई जेन्युइन सिटीजन एक्सक्लूड ना हो। This exercise inevitably links to the ongoing debates around NRC and the Aadhaar voter ID linkage as well. So ECI is a tough job ahead.
Indeed. Okay. Let's move to the next critical issue from polity and governance. सुप्रीम कोर्ट सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने केंद्र और राज्य सरकारों को ट्रांसजेंडर पर्सन्स प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ राइट्स एक्ट 2019, ट्रांसजेंडर व्यक्ति अधिकारों का संरक्षण अधिनियम 2019 लागू न करने पर बहुत सख्त फटकार लगाई है। द कोर्ट यूज्ड द वर्ड्स ग्रोसली एपैथेटिक एटीट्यूड, घोर उदासीन रवैया। ये तो बहुत सीरियस ऑब्जर्वेशन है।
एक्सट्रीमली सीरियस। ये मामला डायरेक्टली जुड़ा है नालसा वी यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया 2014 के लैंडमार्क जजमेंट, ऐतिहासिक फैसले से। नालसा जजमेंट, रिपीट कर रहा हूं, नालसा वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया 2014। इस जजमेंट ने ट्रांसजेंडर पर्सन्स को थर्ड जेंडर, तीसरा लिंग, लीगली रिकॉग्नाइज किया था और उनके फंडामेंटल राइट्स अफर्म किए थे।
हाँ, नालसा जजमेंट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था।
बिल्कुल। कोर्ट का कहना है कि 2019 का कानून और 2020 के रूल्स बनने के बावजूद गवर्नमेंट्स की इनएक्शन, निष्क्रियता, उनकी एपैथी ने इस कानून को इफेक्टिवली एक डेड लेटर, निष्प्रभावी कानून बना दिया है। राइट्स सिर्फ पेपर पर हैं, रियलिटी में जीरो। इमेजिन द फ्रस्ट्रेशन।
तो नालसा जजमेंट और 2019 एक्ट के मेन पॉइंट्स क्या थे ब्रीफली, एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में कौन से आर्टिकल्स रेलेवेंट हैं यहाँ? लेट्स क्विकली रिवाइज दैट।
शो नालसा जजमेंट 2014 ने कहा कि जेंडर आइडेंटिटी सेल्फ परसीव्ड होनी चाहिए, मतलब व्यक्ति खुद बताएगा कि उसकी जेंडर आइडेंटिटी क्या है, कोई मेडिकल टेस्ट नहीं होगा। इसने डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, भेदभाव के खिलाफ प्रोटेक्शन दी एंड डायरेक्टेड द गवर्नमेंट टू प्रोवाइड रिजर्वेशंस इन एजुकेशन एंड पब्लिक एम्प्लॉयमेंट।
सेल्फ परसीव्ड आइडेंटिटी, राइट?
हाँ। ट्रांसजेंडर पर्सन्स एक्ट 2019 ने डिस्क्रिमिनेशन प्रोहिबिट किया इन वेरियस डोमेन्स लाइक एजुकेशन, एम्प्लॉयमेंट, हेल्थ केयर, हाउसिंग। इसने आइडेंटिटी रिकॉग्निशन का मैकेनिज्म दिया, डिस्ट्रिक्ट मैजिस्ट्रेट से सर्टिफिकेट और एस्टैब्लिशमेंट्स पर ऑब्लिगेशंस डाले। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली आर्टिकल 14 अनुच्छेद 14 इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ, विधि के समक्ष समता।
इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ।
आर्टिकल 15 अनुच्छेद 15 प्रोहिबिशन ऑफ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, भेदभाव का निषेध।
नो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन।
Article 19 अनुच्छेद 19 freedom of expression which includes gender expression, and crucially Article 21 अनुच्छेद 21 right to life and personal dignity, प्राण और दैहिक स्वतंत्रता का संरक्षण फंडामेंटल है इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में।
ओके, तो कोर्ट ने अब क्या एक्शन लिया है? व्हाट्स द इमीडिएट स्टेप?
कोर्ट ने एक एडवाइजरी कमेटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूट की है। दिस कमिटी विल फ्रेम अ वायबल इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी पॉलिसी फॉर द ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी इन एम्प्लॉयमेंट एंड एजुकेशन।
एडवाइजरी कमिटी, ओके।
स्पेसिफिक फेलियर्स जो कोर्ट ने हाईलाइट किए हैं उनमें सेपरेट वॉशरूम्स और हॉस्पिटल वार्ड्स का ना बनना शामिल है, बेसिक नेसेसिटीज। एंड ट्रांसजेंडर वेलफेयर बोर्ड्स, ट्रांसजेंडर कल्याण बोर्ड का नॉन फंक्शनल होना। ये बोर्ड्स कई स्टेट्स में या तो बने ही नहीं या बने तो इनएक्टिव हैं। फंड्स नहीं, स्टाफ नहीं, मतलब ढांचा बनाया पर उसमें जान नहीं डाली।
ये तो बहुत बेसिक चीजें जो नहीं हो पा रही हैं, दुख की बात है।
बिल्कुल।
मेंस पर्सपेक्टिव से देखें तो ये सिचुएशन क्या दर्शाती है? What are the deeper governance issues here?
ये कई इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें दिखाता है। फर्स्ट, अ ग्लेयरिंग गवर्नेंस गैप। शासन का अंतर, कानून और जमीनी हकीकत में जमीन आसमान का फर्क। इज इट ब्यूरोक्रेटिक डिले, नौकरशाही देरी, लैक ऑफ पॉलिटिकल विल, राजनीतिक इच्छा शक्ति की कमी, और डीप रूटेड सोसाइटल प्रेजुडिस, सामाजिक पूर्वाग्रह। प्रॉब्ली अ डेंजरस कॉकटेल ऑफ ऑल थ्री।
हाँ, शायद तीनों का ही रोल है इसमें।
सेकेंड, जुडिशरी हैज इम्प्लीमेंटेशन मॉनिटर। कोर्ट को एग्जीक्यूटिव के डोमेन में स्टेप इन करके पॉलिसी बनवानी पड़ रही है। यह दिखाता है कि एग्जीक्यूटिव अपना काम इफेक्टिवली नहीं कर रहा है, लीडिंग टू गवर्नेंस डेफिसिट। यह सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर्स, शक्तियों का पृथक्करण के प्रिंसिपल पर भी सवाल उठाता है, दो आर्ग्यूएबली जुडिशरी इज एक्टिंग टू प्रोटेक्ट फंडामेंटल राइट्स।
मतलब जुडिशरी को इंटरवीन करना पड़ रहा है।
एग्जैक्टली। थर्ड, राइट्स इन एबेयंस, अधिकार निलंबित। कानून होने के बावजूद राइट्स एक्सेसिबल नहीं है। वल्नरेबल सिटीजन्स को लेंदी, एक्सपेंसिव लीगल बैटल्स लड़नी पड़ रही हैं फॉर बेसिक राइट्स। फोर्थ, ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी वर्सेस सोशल मोरालिटी का क्लासिक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है। ऐसा लगता है कि एग्जीक्यूटिव एक्शन इज मोर इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय प्रिवेलिंग सोशल प्रेजुडिसेस दैन बाय कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैल्यूज ऑफ इक्वालिटी, डिग्निटी एंड नॉन डिस्क्रिमिनेशन। Judiciary is trying to uphold constitutional morality, acting as the guardian and moral conscience of the Constitution, as CJI Gavai himself remarked in this context.
Constitutional morality versus social morality. Interesting point. What are the implications of this judiciary intervention?
प्रेशर बढ़ेगा, रिपोर्टिंग का अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स होगी,
मीडियम टर्म में कॉन्क्रीट गाइडलाइंस आ सकती हैं, मे बी सम फंक्शनल वेलफेयर बोर्ड्स, बट अल्टीमेट इन्फोर्समेंट फिर एग्जीक्यूटिव विल पर ही डिपेंड करेगा।
हाँ, असली चैलेंज तो इन्फोर्समेंट ही है।
बिल्कुल। लॉन्ग टर्म में ये जुडिशियल ओवरसाइट का एक स्ट्रॉन्ग प्रेसिडेंट सेट करता है इन सोशल वेलफेयर लेजिस्लेशन इंप्लीमेंटेशन। इट हाइलाइट्स द डेस्परेट नीड फॉर सिस्टमिक रिफॉर्म्स फॉर एग्जीक्यूटिव अकाउंटेबिलिटी एंड रिस्पॉन्सिवनेस टुवर्ड्स वल्नरेबल सेक्शंस। द वे फॉरवर्ड, आगे की राह, is clear. A time-bound action plan is needed from governments. Sensitization programs for officials, police, judiciary, even public. Civil society को monitoring में actively involve करना चाहिए. This also links to the right to privacy, put the Swam judgment regarding self-determination of identity and broader challenges in welfare scheme implementation for marginalized groups.
ऑलराइट, मूविंग ऑन। अब आते हैं EPFO रिफॉर्म्स पर। मेरे जैसे सैलरीड लोगों के लिए PF यानी प्रोविडेंट फंड इज अ बिग डील। एम्प्लॉयज प्रोविडेंट फंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन EPFO ने कुछ नए सुधार रिफॉर्म्स अप्रूव किए हैं। क्या हैं ये चेंजेस? हमारे लिए अच्छा है या बुरा?
गुड क्वेश्चन। ये रिफॉर्म्स एक तरह का बैलेंसिंग एक्ट है, टाइट रोप वॉक। EPFO वांट्स टू प्रोवाइड फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, लचीलापन टू मेंबर्स ताकि जरूरत पड़ने पर पैसा निकालना आसान हो, बट साइमल्टेनियसली एंश्योर्स सोशल सिक्योरिटी, सामाजिक सुरक्षा, ताकि रिटायरमेंट के लिए सेविंग्स बची रहें, बुढ़ापे का सहारा बना रहे।
फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी भी, सिक्योरिटी भी, ठीक है।
हाँ, EPFO, as you know, is a statutory body under the Ministry of Labour and Employment, governed by the EPF Act 1952, कर्मचारी भविष्य निधि अधिनियम 1952। इसके तहत मेन स्कीम्स हैं EPF, एम्प्लॉयज प्रोविडेंट फंड, जो एक डिफाइंड कंट्रीब्यूशन स्कीम है, मतलब आपका कंट्रीब्यूशन फिक्स्ड है, फाइनल अमाउंट मार्केट रिटर्न्स भी डिपेंड करता है। और EPS, एम्प्लॉयज पेंशन स्कीम, जो एक डिफाइंड बेनिफिट स्कीम है, मतलब पेंशन अमाउंट एक फॉर्मूला बेस्ड है, लिंक टू सैलरी एंड सर्विस ईयर्स।
ओके, तो स्पेसिफिक रिफॉर्म्स क्या हैं? सुना है विड्रॉल रूल्स सिंप्लीफाई हुए हैं। Easier to take money out now?
Yes, simplification is one aspect. First, consolidation of rules. पहले पार्शियल विड्रॉल यानी बीच में पैसा निकालने के 13 अलग-अलग रीजंस थे, वेरी कंफ्यूजिंग। अब उन्हें 3 ब्रॉड कैटेगरीज में मर्ज कर दिया है। एसेंशियल नीड्स जैसे मेडिकल इमरजेंसी, बच्चों की एजुकेशन या शादी, हाउसिंग, घर खरीदना या बनाना, और स्पेशल सर्कमस्टांसेस, सो सिंपलर कैटेगरीज।
अच्छा, 13 से 3 कैटेगरीज, ये तो अच्छा है।
सेकंड, यूनिफॉर्म सर्विस पीरियड। किसी भी पार्शियल विड्रॉल के लिए मिनिमम सर्विस रिक्वायरमेंट अब यूनिफॉर्म 12 मंथ्स, 12 महीने कर दी गई है। पहले ये पर्पस के हिसाब से अलग अलग थी, जैसे हाउसिंग के लिए 5-7 साल, सो फास्टर एक्सेस इन सम केसेस।
Okay, 12 months for all partial withdrawals.
थर्ड, एंड दिस इज अ बिग वन, मैंडेटरी मिनिमम बैलेंस। अब अकाउंट में टोटल कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस का 25%, आई रिपीट 25% हमेशा मेंटेन करना होगा।
25% minimum balance.
हाँ, इसका मतलब ज्यादातर पार्शियल विड्रॉल्स अब अवेलेबल कॉपस के 75% तक ही सीमित होंगे। वाई? ताकि कोर रिटायरमेंट कॉपस, मूल सेवानिवृत्ति कोष, बचा रहे और उसे कंपाउंडिंग का बेनिफिट मिले ओवर द लॉन्ग टर्म। कंपाउंडिंग इज द 8th वंडर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, रिमेंबर?
हाँ, कंपाउंडिंग, तो 25% कोर अमाउंट सेव रहेगा।
एग्जैक्टली। फोर्थ, एक्सटेंडेड वेटिंग पीरियड। जॉब छोड़ने के बाद PF अकाउंट के फाइनल सेटलमेंट के लिए वेटिंग पीरियड 2 मंथ्स से बढ़ाकर 12 मंथ्स कर दिया गया है। एंड पेंशन EPS कंपोनेंट के लिए वेटिंग पीरियड इज नाउ 36 मंथ्स, 36 महीने। यस, 3 years।
12 months for PF, 36 months for pension. ये क्यों?
Why this extension? To discourage people from prematurely withdrawing their entire retirement savings as soon as they change jobs. Retirement के लिए कुछ तो बचाना है ना? And fifth, digital push, EPFO 3.0. Auto settlement for claims up to 5 lakh rupees is being implemented. A unified digital infrastructure is being built for faster processing.
25% minimum balance requirement और extended waiting period. ये तो withdrawal मुश्किल भी बना रहे हैं। Flexibility के नाम पे restriction जैसा लग रहा है।
Exactly, यही तो balancing act है। इसे policy trilemma कह सकते हैं। EPFO is trying to juggle 3 competing goals. 1, immediate liquidity, यानी तत्काल तरलता for members during emergencies. 2,
लॉन्ग टर्म रिटायरमेंट सिक्योरिटी यानी दीर्घकालिक सेवानिवृत्ति सुरक्षा। 3. एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एफिशिएंसी प्रशासनिक दक्षता। ये रिफॉर्म्स इन तीनों को साइमल्टेनियसली अचीव करने की कोशिश है। The 25% minimum balance and extended waiting periods act as behavioral nudges, subtle incentives to keep money saved for retirement, not treat PF as a regular savings account.
Nudges. Interesting term. What are the critics saying? Is there an alternative perspective?
Yes, there is. One editorial raises a pertinent question. If EPFO is making withdrawals easier, more flexibility, like a liquid savings product, then why is the mandatory contribution rate so high? Currently, it's 12% from employee plus 12% from employer equals to 24% of basic pay. That's a significant chunk.
हाँ, 24% तो काफी है.
And what's this talk about a universal social security system?
These reforms, especially the digitization and potential Aadhaar linking, are seen by some as steps towards a universal social security system. Sarvabhaumik Samajik Suraksha Pranali. The long-term vision is perhaps to create an Aadhaar-linked Citizen Social Security Account, CSSA. Imagine an account that is portable across jobs, even for gig workers and informal sector workers who currently lack such benefits.
CSSA, ये तो revolutionary हो सकता है.
This could be truly revolutionary for India's social safety net, covering crores of people. These EPFO reforms might be foundational steps in that direction.
Got it. So these reforms seem like a pragmatic step, but the focus needs to be on portability and definitely more financial literacy. Vittiya Saksharta is needed so members can make informed decisions about their hard-earned money. Now let's shift gears to the economy section, and the first news is huge. Google is investing $15 billion, 15 Arab dollar, $15 billion in India. They are setting up a major AI Kritrim Buddhimatta and data center hub in Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. This is massive.
Absolutely massive. This is Google's largest single investment in India to date. The project will roll out over 5 years from 2026 to 2030, and it's aligned with the government's Viksit Bharat 2047 vision.
Viksit Bharat 2047. Alignment. Okay.
Importantly, it involves Indian partners, Adani Connects for construction and green energy supply, and Bharti Airtel for the cable landing station infrastructure. Key concepts here are AI, data centers, data kendra, digital infrastructure, digital avsanrachna, FDI, foreign direct investment, pratyaksh videshi nivesh, and crucially, data sovereignty, data samprabhuta.
What exactly will this hub comprise, and why is data sovereignty such a critical issue here?
The hub will include a gigawatt-scale data center, meaning a data center with massive power capacity to handle huge amounts of data processing. It will also feature a new international subsea gateway, basically a landing point for submarine fiber optic cables that form the backbone of global internet connectivity, plus an expanded fiber network within India and dedicated clean energy generation to power this massive facility.
Gigawatt-scale data center and subsea gateway. Sounds very high-tech.
Data sovereignty is critical because when so much Indian data, personal, corporate, potentially even government data, is stored and processed on infrastructure owned by a foreign company, questions about control, privacy, security, and access inevitably arise. India has the Digital Personal Data Protection DPDP Act 2023, but enforcing it effectively against powerful global tech giants will be a major governance challenge. Who really controls the data?
Right. The DPDP Act enforcement will be key. Okay, so what are the broader implications? Let's look at the mains perspective.
The economic and developmental implications are potentially tremendous. This project can act as a catalyst for India's digital economy. Having high-end digital infrastructure locally will reduce latency, data travel time, empowering Indian startups and businesses, especially in sectors like healthcare, agriculture, and finance that want to leverage AI.
Lower latency, more innovation.
It promises significant job creation, both direct, highly skilled, and indirect. It will boost the state's GDP
and position India as a potential export hub for AI services. For FDI and investor confidence, it's a huge thumbs-up signal about India's potential.
And geopolitically, does it have strategic significance?
Highly strategic. First, it anchors the US-India tech partnership, integrating India deeper into the US-led global tech ecosystem. Second, locating this hub in Visakhapatnam on the East Coast is significant. It can be seen as a counterweight to China's Digital Silk Road initiative, helping build a resilient digital architecture in the Indo-Pacific region with like-minded partners.
Counter to China's Digital Silk Road. Interesting strategic angle.
But there are serious challenges too. Data governance, as we discussed, ensuring the DPDP Act is enforced. Then there's algorithmic sovereignty. The risk of becoming overly dependent on Google's AI algorithms, which might have inherent biases trained on Western data, potentially perpetuating those biases in the Indian context. And structural dependency. The core technology and intellectual property IP will likely remain with Google, which could hinder India's goal of developing autonomous domestic AI capabilities. We risk becoming just a consumer, not a co-creator.
AI bias and structural dependency. These are valid concerns. So the way forward is to welcome the investment, but stay vigilant on the regulatory front.
Precisely. It's a transformative opportunity, no doubt, but it needs to be managed with strong, clear-eyed regulation focused on data protection and AI governance. Policy should also push for mandating technology transfer where possible, fostering collaborative research between Google and Indian institutions, and aggressively promoting indigenous R&D in AI. India needs to leverage this investment to build its own capabilities, not just provide data and a market.
Okay, so while India celebrates this massive AI investment, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Antarashtriya Mudra Kosh, is playing party pooper. In its latest World Economic Outlook (WEO) report, the IMF has issued a warning. They are saying this AI craze feels a bit like the late 1990s dot-com bubble. Are they suggesting this AI bubble might burst?
Yes, the IMF is definitely sounding a note of caution. Their October 2025 WFO report acknowledges the huge potential of AI to trigger a productivity boom. Utpadakta mein bhari vriddhi. But it also points out that market valuations (mulyankan) for AI-related companies have become extremely stretched, far exceeding current earnings. There's a whiff of irrational exuberance, atarkik utsah, in the air, just like during the dot-com era.
Irrational exuberance, like 1999-2000.
Exactly. The warning is clear. If these AI companies fail to deliver the expected astronomical profits relatively soon, investor sentiment could sour rapidly, leading to a sharp market correction, bazar sudhar, a polite term for a crash.
Can you briefly remind us what the dot-com bubble was and how is the current AI boom similar or different?
Sure. The dot-com bubble occurred roughly between 1997 and 2000. During this period, stocks of internet-related companies, many with .com in their names, skyrocketed based purely on hype and future potential, often with little to no actual profit or even revenue. The bubble spectacularly burst in 2000-2001, leading to a massive market crash and wiping out trillions in value.
Oh yes, I remember reading about that crash.
Similarities today: surging tech stock valuations, especially for AI-linked companies, heavy capital expenditure by tech giants on AI infrastructure, and widespread optimism bordering on hype. Key difference, and this is important, many of today's leading AI firms, especially the so-called Magnificent Seven, Apple, Microsoft, Google's parent Alphabet, Amazon, Nvidia, Meta, Tesla, are highly profitable companies with solid business models, unlike many dot-com era startups.
Right, these companies actually make money.
Also, the current boom seems less financed by excessive debt compared to the dot-com era, potentially reducing the risk of a systemic banking crisis if a correction occurs. Still, the IMF highlights two possibilities: peril, a sharp correction, or promise, a genuine productivity boom.
Magnificent Seven sounds like a Western movie. And why is there still a risk of correction if these companies are profitable?
Yes, the Magnificent Seven refers to these 7 largest US tech stocks that have driven a disproportionate share of market gains recently. The risk exists because current valuations often bake in extremely optimistic future growth scenarios powered by AI.
If AI fails to deliver those transformative productivity gains and profits as quickly or as widely as expected, there could be a significant repricing event where investors drastically lower their expectations and stock prices fall.
Expectations versus reality gap.
Exactly. Because the market value is so heavily concentrated in these few stocks, a downturn in them could have an outsized impact on global indices, potentially triggering a broader sell-off as panic spreads. High concentration is always a risk.
What could be the impact on India? We are getting the Google AI hub, which seems great, but are we also vulnerable if this bubble bursts?
India finds itself in a dual position. During the boom phase, India is a beneficiary. We are seeing large capital inflows, like the Google hub investment. Our stock market gets support from positive global sentiment. The rupee might find some stability, and our tech startups benefit from easier funding.
So, good times during the boom?
But we are definitely vulnerable to the bust phase. The Indian market is deeply integrated with the global financial system. If there's a major correction in the US tech market, we could see significant foreign portfolio investment FPI outflows from India as global investors rush to safety. This can cause sharp volatility in our stock market, put pressure on the rupee, lead to tighter financial conditions, higher interest rates, and ultimately impact domestic investment and economic growth. The IMF, while upgrading India's FY26 growth forecast slightly in this WEO report, has also implicitly cautioned about this dual impact, benefiting from the potential boom, but vulnerable to the potential bust.
So, boom benefits, bust risks. What should be India's policy response? What are the imperatives?
Vigilance is key. First, maintain financial stability. This is primarily the role of RBI and SEBI monitoring capital flows carefully, preventing the buildup of domestic asset bubbles and ensuring banks are resilient. Second, focus on the real economy. Policy should actively leverage AI for tangible productivity gains in crucial sectors like agriculture, health, education, and manufacturing, rather than just focusing on stock market valuations.
Focus on real gains, not just market hype.
Third, managing expectations. Regulators and government might need to gently caution domestic investors about the risks associated with chasing high-valuation global tech stocks. The overall approach should be to harness the investment wave driven by AI optimism, but simultaneously build safeguards to protect financial stability and the real economy from potential global volatility.
Very clear. Moving on to something we all use daily. UPI, RBI की एक ताज़ा रिपोर्ट भी यही कह रही है कि ट्रांजैक्शंस की संख्या यानी वॉल्यूम के मामले में UPI यानी यूनिफाइड पेमेंट्स इंटरफेस सबसे आगे है, किंग है। लेकिन वैल्यू यानी टोटल अमाउंट के मामले में RTGS यानी रियल टाइम ग्रॉस सेटलमेंट बादशाह है। और इंटरेस्टिंग फाइंडिंग है कि डेबिट कार्ड्स का यूज कम हो रहा है। What does this tell us?
Bilkul. These findings perfectly capture the incredible digital payments revolution unfolding in India. UPI is the undisputed king for small, everyday person-to-merchant or person-to-person transactions, hence high volume but relatively low total value. Think chai, groceries, rickshaw fare.
हाँ, छोटे पेमेंट्स के लिए बेस्ट है UPI.
RTGS, on the other hand, is used for large-value corporate or institutional transfers, like interbank transactions or large business payments. Hence, low volume but very high total value. The decline in debit card usage is fascinating. It shows a major behavioral shift. Indians seem to be leapfrogging directly from cash to mobile payments, primarily UPI via QR codes, bypassing the intermediate step of plastic cards for many small transactions.
Leapfrogging from cash to mobile? Interesting.
Why swipe a card when you can scan a QR code instantly? This is leapfrogging in action.
So, what are the key factors behind UPI's phenomenal success? And just to refresh, who operates RTGS NEFT?
UPI's success, managed by NPCI, National Payments Corporation of India, Bharatiya Rashtriya Bhugtan Nigam, is driven by its sheer ease of use, simple mobile interface, interoperability, works across banks and apps, and critically, the zero cost for users and, currently for most merchants, zero MDR, merchant discount rate.
Ease, interoperability, zero cost. Key reasons.
It has massively boosted financial inclusion with the Samaveshan and helped formalize the economy. RTGS and NEFT, National Electronic Funds Transfer, Rashtriya Electronic Nidhi Antaran, are operated by the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, Bharatiya Reserve Bank itself.
What are the challenges facing UPI now, given its scale?
With great scale come great challenges. Cybersecurity is paramount, preventing fraud, ensuring user data safety. The financial sustainability of the UPI ecosystem itself is a hot topic. The zero MDR regime is being debated intensely. How will payment service providers and banks sustain the infrastructure if they don't earn from transactions?
Zero MDR debate is quite intense.
System resilience is another challenge. The infrastructure needs to be incredibly robust to handle billions of transactions daily without failures or glitches. Future focus will likely be on strengthening UPI security and infrastructure and exploring sustainable business models that don't burden small merchants or users excessively.
Makes sense. Okay, now shifting to international relations, Antarashtriya Sambandh. There seems to be renewed momentum in talks for a free trade agreement, Mukt Vyapar Samjhauta, between India and the European Union, EU. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal recently discussed this with his German counterpart.
Yes, that's significant. Germany is the EU's largest economy and a strong supporter of the India-EU FTA. This agreement, officially called the Broad-Based Trade and Investment Agreement, BTIA, has been under negotiation for ages, but there's a renewed push now.
BTIA? इतने सालों से चल रहा है ये.
An FTA basically aims to reduce or eliminate tariffs, customs duties on goods traded between the partners. But equally important, it aims to tackle non-tariff barriers, NTB, Gair Prashulk Badhaएं. NTBs are subtle but significant hurdles, like complex regulations, sanitary and phytosanitary measures which relate to food safety and animal plant health standards, or technical barriers to trade, TBT standards relating to product specifications, testing, and certification requirements. These can often be more trade restrictive than actual tariffs.
NTBs. ये tariff से भी ज़्यादा tricky हो सकते हैं.
Exactly.
So why is this FTA considered so important? And why have the negotiations been stuck for so many years? What are the main roadblocks?
The significance is huge, both economically and strategically. Economically, the EU is one of India's largest trading partners and a major source of FDI. An FTA would give Indian goods and services like IT, pharmaceuticals, textiles, agricultural products, preferential access to the EU's large, high-income market of nearly 415 million consumers. Conversely, the EU gains better access to India's vast and rapidly growing consumer market.
Market access for both sides.
Strategically for India, it aligns with the goal of trade diversification, reducing overdependence on any single country. For the EU, it's a key component of its Indo-Pacific engagement strategy, strengthening ties with a major democratic partner in the region. The hurdles are numerous and complex. Negotiations stalled for years due to significant differences. Market access remains a key issue. The EU wants India to slash tariffs in sensitive sectors like automobiles, wines, and spirits. India, in turn, wants better access for its agricultural products and easier movement for its services professionals like IT workers in the EU.
Autos, alcohol versus agri-products, services. Classic conflict points.
NTPs are a major sticking point. India often feels that the EU's high SPS and TBT standards, while ostensibly for safety or quality, effectively act as protectionist barriers against Indian exports. Other contentious areas include intellectual property rights, IPR protection, especially for pharmaceuticals, access to government procurement contracts, and inclusion of stringent sustainability standards related to labor rights and environment, which India sometimes views as potential tools for disguised protectionism.
IPR, government procurement, sustainability, काफी issues हैं. Why is Germany's role considered key in unlocking this?
Germany is the economic powerhouse of the EU. Their political weight and advocacy are crucial for building consensus among the 27 diverse member states of the bloc. German industries, particularly in engineering, chemicals, and automobiles, see significant opportunities in the Indian market and are keen for the FTA to materialize.
Germany का support crucial है.
The renewed push now likely comes from a shared geopolitical understanding, the need to secure supply chains, reduce dependencies on autocratic regimes, and strengthen partnerships between like-minded democracies in the current global churn. The way forward requires political will on both sides, flexibility, a pragmatic approach, and perhaps exploring an early harvest agreement, finalizing deals on less controversial issues first to build momentum.
Germany's continued diplomatic support will be very important to get this across the finish line.
In environment and disaster management, thankfully, no major negative news reported today. So let's jump to science and technology, Vigyan or Pradyogiki. And this is exciting. A fresh update on ISRO's Gaganyaan mission. ISRO chairman V. Narayanan has announced that the mission's development work is 90%, 90% complete. That's phenomenal. The first uncrewed test flight is targeted for December 2025, this very year, and the first crewed mission, Manav Sahit Udan, is aimed for early 2027. Ab ki baar, Antariksh mein Tiranga.
Indeed, this is incredible progress on what is arguably India's most ambitious and prestigious space mission to date. Reaching 90% completion reflects ISRO's tremendous capability and dedication. The uncrewed test flights are absolutely critical. You have to test everything rigorously in the harsh environment of space before sending humans.
90%. That's amazing progress.
The mission's objective, to remind everyone, is to send a crew of three Indian astronauts into low Earth orbit, LEO, at an altitude of about 400 kilometers for a duration of three days, and bring them back safely to Earth, landing in the sea.
3 astronauts, LEO 400 kilometers, 3 days. Got it. Which launch vehicle will be used? And can you explain this term human rating? What does it involve?
The launch vehicle is the human-rated LVM-3, HLMVII. This is a modified version of ISRO's heaviest and most reliable rocket, the LVM-3, formerly GSLV-MKII, specifically certified as safe for carrying humans. Human rating, Manav rating, is an extremely rigorous process. It involves extensive testing of every component, numerous design modifications to enhance safety, building in multiple redundancies, backup systems for critical functions, and developing robust emergency procedures like the Crew Escape System, CES.
Human-rated LVM-3. Safety first.
Exactly. The goal is to achieve an extremely high level of reliability and ensure astronaut safety above all else.
And Vyomitra, the humanoid robot, what's her role?
Yes. Vyomitra, the female-looking spacefaring humanoid robot developed by ISRO, will play a crucial role in the uncrewed test flights. She will fly aboard the module to simulate human functions, monitoring cabin environment parameters like temperature, pressure, oxygen levels, operating switches, responding to commands from ground control, and generally mimicking how a human astronaut would interact with the spacecraft systems.
Vyomitra, simulating astronauts before the real flight. Smart.
The data she sends back will be invaluable for validating the life support systems and other critical technologies before the actual human flight. ISRO also successfully conducted an integrated airdrop test of the parachute system back in August 2025, which is vital for ensuring the safe return and splashdown of the crew module.
From a mains perspective, what is the broader significance of the Gaganyaan mission for India?
It has multiple far-reaching dimensions. One, it's a catalyst for technological advancement across various fields, developing cutting-edge technologies in life support systems, advanced materials that can withstand extreme conditions, robotics and AI, Vyomitra is a prime example, and high-reliability engineering and quality assurance processes.
Tech advancement in many areas.
2. Economic and industrial spin-offs. Gaganyaan is fostering a domestic space technology ecosystem, creating opportunities for the private sector and startups in manufacturing components, developing software, and providing services. Many technologies developed for Gaganyaan could also have spin-off applications in other sectors like medicine, material science, or disaster management.
Spin-offs for other sectors too.
3. Geopolitical significance and national prestige. Successfully conducting a human spaceflight mission will place India in an elite club of nations. Currently, only the US, Russia, and China have this indigenous capability. It's a powerful statement of India's scientific prowess and technological self-reliance, boosting national pride and soft power globally.
Joining the elite club.
4. It serves as a foundation for future ambitions.
Gaganyaan is not an end in itself. It's a stepping stone towards establishing the Bharatiya Antariksh Station, Indian Space Station, by 2035, and undertaking a crewed lunar mission by 2040, as envisioned by the government. The upcoming uncrewed tests are crucial milestones. This mission is a strategic investment in India's future.
Truly inspiring. Now let's move to internal security, Antarik Suraksha. Big news on the defense front. The Defense Acquisition Council, DAC, chaired by Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, has given the green light, the approval for necessity AON, to proposals worth nearly 79,000 crore rupees. 79,000 crore rupees. Repeat, 79,000 crore rupees for procuring weapons and equipment for the armed forces.
Correct. The DAC, Raksha Adhigrahan Parishad, is the highest decision-making body in the Ministry of Defense for capital procurements. AON is the crucial first step in the defense procurement process under the Defense Acquisition Procedure, DAP, signifying acceptance of the military's need for the specified equipment.
79 crore rupees. Huge amount. AON is the first step, right?
These recent approvals aim to significantly enhance the operational capabilities, Parichalan Kshamta, lethality, Ghatakta, and mobility Gatishilta of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, with a continued strong emphasis on Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense production.
Can you highlight some of these specific key acquisitions approved for each service?
Certainly. For the Indian Army, procurement of the Nag Missile System Tract, MK2, also known as NAMIS. The Nag is an indigenous third-generation fire-and-forget anti-tank guided missile, ATGM. Also approved are ground-based mobile ELANT electronic intelligence systems for intelligence gathering and high-mobility vehicles, HMVs, for improved troop and logistics movement in difficult terrain.
NAMIS for Army, anti-tank capability boost.
For the Indian Navy, approval for acquiring landing platform docks, LPDs. These are large amphibious warfare ships. Also, 30mm naval surface guns, NSGs, which serve as close-in weapon systems against small boats and aerial threats, and significantly, advanced lightweight torpedoes, ALWs, for anti-submarine warfare. These ALWs are indigenously designed and developed by DRDO.
LPDs for Navy, amphibious warfare, and indigenous torpedoes.
Yes, for the Indian Air Force, approval for a system called the Collaborative Long-Range Target Saturation Destruction System, CLR-TSDS, sounds like an advanced, possibly autonomous, or networked weapon system designed for long-range precision strikes against multiple targets.
CLR-TSDS for Air Force. Sounds advanced. From a mains perspective, what do these specific acquisitions signify? Could you elaborate a bit more on the role of LPDs for the Navy?
These acquisitions clearly show targeted capability enhancement, possibly keeping in mind the challenges of a potential two-front scenario, dealing with China and Pakistan simultaneously. For the land borders, the NAMIS significantly boosts anti-tank capabilities against enemy armor and bunkers. The HMSEs enhance mobility in border regions, and the ELIN systems improve battlefield intelligence.
Land border focus. Anti-tank, mobility, intelligence.
For the maritime domain, especially the Indian Ocean region, IOR, the LPDs are particularly significant. These are large warships capable of transporting and deploying hundreds of troops, tanks, vehicles, and helicopters for amphibious landings on enemy shores or for expeditionary missions far from Indian coasts. They substantially enhance India's power projection capability and amphibious warfare capacity in the IOR, which is crucial given the increasing naval presence of other powers in the region.
LPDs for power projection and amphibious ops in IOR. Very important.
LPDs are also invaluable assets for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief for HADR operations, like evacuating citizens or providing aid during natural disasters, which is a key element of India's role as a net security provider in the region. The NSGs improve the Navy's ability to deal with low-intensity maritime threats like piracy or swarm attacks, while the indigenous ALWTs strengthen the crucial anti-submarine warfare ASW capability against underwater threats.
HDAR role 2, And the focus on Atmanirbhar Bharat seems consistent.
Yes, the approval for the indigenously developed ALWTS is a clear example. Promoting self-reliance in defense is critical to reduce dependency on foreign suppliers, which can be unreliable in crises, save precious foreign exchange, and build a robust domestic defense industrial base, creating jobs and fostering innovation. Systems like the CLRTDS also indicate a focus on acquiring capabilities relevant for modern and future warfare scenarios involving networked operations and precision strikes. The way forward now is ensuring timely execution of these projects, avoiding the notorious delays often seen in defense procurement, and maximizing the involvement of Indian industry, including the private sector and MSMEs.
Okay, one more security-related piece of news, though smaller in scale. In West Bengal's Birbhum district near Bonpur, a World War II-era bomb found in a river about a month ago has been successfully defused by the Army's bomb disposal squad.
Yes, this incident serves as a stark reminder of the lingering dangers of unexploded ordnance. UXO, Avisputit Ayudh. These are explosive remnants from past conflicts. Bombs, shells, grenades that fail to detonate but remain hazardous, sometimes for decades. It highlights the critical and dangerous work done by specialized agencies like the Indian Army's Bomb Disposal Squad.
UXO, unexploded ordnance. Dangerous stuff.
Handling such old, potentially unstable ordnance requires immense expertise, specialized equipment, and sheer courage. The incident also illustrates the standard disaster management protocol in such cases. Detection, in this case by locals, securing the area by local police to prevent accidents, expert intervention, calling in the Army's specialized squad, safe neutralization or disposal. Community awareness and prompt reporting were key here. It's a reminder of hidden dangers lurking from the past and the importance of professional competence and inter-agency coordination.
Got it. Now let's turn to social issues and welfare, Samajik Mudde aur Kalyan. There's some positive news from the education sector. The All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE, has issued a directive to all higher education institutions under its purview. They must give equal recognition to students passing from the National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, Rashtriya Mukt Vidyali Shiksha Sansthan, as they give to students from regular boards like CBSE or ICSE.
This is indeed a very important and progressive step. AICTE, as we know, is the statutory body regulating technical education like engineering, management, pharmacy, architecture in India. NIOS provides flexible, open learning opportunities at the school level, equivalent to classes 10 and 12, to lakhs of students across the country who cannot attend formal regular schools due to various reasons. Maybe they are working, involved in sports, live in remote areas, or face socio-economic constraints.
NIOS providing flexibility. This AICTE directive is great news for them.
Bilkul. AICTE's directive explicitly mandates that NIOS students who meet the required eligibility criteria, like subject combinations and minimum marks, must be considered on par with students from CBSE, ICSE, or state boards for admission into technical courses. No discrimination allowed.
What is the significance of this move? Why is it important?
Its significance is multifold. First, it promotes educational inclusivity, Samaveshi Shiksha, and equity in education, Shiksha Mein Samanta. It directly addresses the discrimination that NIOS students often faced, where some institutions arbitrarily considered their qualification inferior. Second, it strongly validates open and distance learning, ODL, Mukt Evam Durast Shiksha, as a legitimate and valuable mode of education, recognizing that quality learning can happen outside the traditional four walls of a classroom.
Validating, open schooling, good.
Third, it removes a major barrier for thousands of deserving NIO students seeking to access higher technical education and pursue professional careers. Fourth, this aligns perfectly with the core principles of the National Education Policy 2020, which emphasizes flexibility, multiple learning pathways, and seamless integration between formal and non-formal education systems. It's a commendable reform that strengthens the credibility of NIOS and hopefully paves the way for wider acceptance across all higher education streams. The key now is ensuring strict compliance by all institutions.
Absolutely. Positive news. Now circling back to transgender rights, but this time focusing on the perspective from today's editorials. We discussed the Supreme Court's sharp criticism earlier. The editorials today are really focusing on this implementation deficit, कार्यान्वयन की कमी. The law exists, the judgment exists, but why isn't the ground reality changing for the community?
Exactly. That's the painful question the editorials are dissecting. We have the landmark Nalsa judgment from 2014, 2000 Chola, which granted constitutional recognition and rights. We have the Comprehensive Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act from 2019, 2019. Yet, despite these legal milestones, the transgender community continues to face pervasive systemic discrimination, pranaligat bhedbhav, social exclusion, bahishkar, and shocking bureaucratic apathy, naukarshahi udasinta.
Systemic discrimination and bureaucratic apathy, despite the law.
The editorials emphasize that the journey from legal recognition, kanuni manyata, on paper to genuine social acceptance, samajik swikriti, and dignity in reality is proving to be incredibly long, arduous, and frustrating for the community. The law hasn't translated into lived experience.
What are the specific key implementation challenges that the editorials are highlighting?
They point to several critical failures. 1. Bureaucratic apathy and insensitivity. Transgender individuals face immense hurdles in obtaining official documents like passports, educational certificates, and even the government-mandated transgender certificate itself. The process is often cumbersome, intrusive, and handled insensitively.
Getting documents is still a major struggle.
2. Lack of basic infrastructure. The failure to provide something as basic as separate, safe washrooms and dedicated wards in hospitals, despite legal mandates, is highlighted as a glaring example of the lack of will and priority given to the community's needs. 3. Ineffective welfare mechanisms. The transgender welfare boards, which were supposed to be set up at the state level under the Act to design and monitor welfare schemes, are either non-existent or completely non-functional in many states. They lack funds, staff, and authority, leaving no dedicated institutional mechanism for support and grievance redressal.
Basic informacing, welfare boards ineffective. Serious gaps.
4. Persistent discrimination in employment and education. Despite the Act prohibiting discrimination, it remains rampant in practice. Furthermore, the Act mandated establishing effective complaint mechanisms within establishments which haven't been widely implemented or publicized. Consequently, the judiciary is often seen acting as a last resort, stepping in because the executive machinery has failed to deliver on the promises of the law.
So what's the conclusion drawn? What needs to happen?
The core message is that passing a progressive law is merely the first, albeit important step. Effective enforcement and bringing about real change require sustained political will at the highest levels, administrative accountability, holding officials responsible for inaction, and widespread societal sensitization. Changing mindsets is crucial.
Political will, accountability, sensitization. Critical factors.
8 welfare boards need to be immediately activated, properly funded, and empowered to function effectively. We need to move beyond mere tokenism and symbolism towards genuine inclusion and ensuring that the constitutional guarantees of equality and dignity become a lived reality for every transgender citizen in India.
A powerful reminder of the gap between law and reality. Okay, let's move to the culture and heritage section. The Ministry of Culture is commemorating the 200th anniversary of Rani Chennamma's victory in 1824. Who was Rani Chennamma? Why is this significant?
Rani Chennamma, who lived from 1778 to 1829, was the courageous queen of the princely state of Kittur, located in modern-day Karnataka. What makes her exceptionally significant is that she was one of the very first Indian rulers to lead an armed rebellion
Sashastra Vidroh.
Against the might of the British East India Company, way back in 1824. This was decades before the famous revolt of 1857, a true pioneer of resistance.
Wow, 1824, before 1857. That's really early resistance. What led to her conflict with the British?
The trigger was a succession issue. After the death of her husband and only son, Rani Chennamma adopted a boy named Shivlingappa to be the heir to the Kittur throne. However, the British collector of Dharwad, St. John Thackeray, refused to recognize the adopted heir, citing a policy similar to what later became the infamous doctrine of lapse, Vyapgat ka Siddhant, and intended to annex the prosperous state of Kittur.
Doctrine of lapse kind of policy, even before it was formally called that.
हाँ, बिल्कुल. Rani Chennamma, displaying remarkable courage and statesmanship, refused to surrender her kingdom's sovereignty. She tried diplomacy first, writing to the Lieutenant Governor of the Bombay Presidency. But when that failed, she chose defiance. She led her forces into battle against the company troops in October 1824 and achieved a significant initial victory, in which Thackeray himself was killed.
She won the first battle and killed the collector. Amazing!
Although the British eventually regrouped with larger forces, captured Kittur forts, and imprisoned Rani Chennamma, who died in captivity in 1829, her bravery and initial success made her an immortal figure in India's freedom struggle and a celebrated folk hero, especially in Karnataka, where her story is sung in ballads called Lavani.
So, commemorating her victory today, what's the relevance and message?
Commemorating Rani Chennamma's 182-4 victory serves multiple important purposes. Firstly, it's part of the larger effort to highlight and honor the contributions of lesser-known heroes and regional leaders from all parts of India to the freedom struggle, moving beyond a few dominant narratives. Secondly, it fosters national pride by reminding us of the long and diverse history of resistance against colonial rule. Thirdly, it specifically recognizes the crucial role of women in Indian history, providing powerful examples of female leadership, courage, and defiance against oppression, serving as important role models.
Highlighting unsung heroes and women's role. Important.
Fourthly, it helps foster regional identity and pride by acknowledging the specific contributions and sacrifices made by regions like Karnataka in the larger national movement. It's a fitting tribute to a queen who became a symbol of courage, patriotism, and unwavering resistance against injustice.
Truly inspiring story. Great. Now for our dedicated UPSC aspirants, let's quickly touch upon some ethics, Niti Shastra linkages from today's news for reflection.
Caselet 1 related to governance, apathy, constitutional morality. Considering the Supreme Court's harsh criticism regarding the non-implementation of the Transgender Persons Act, if you were the Secretary in the Ministry of Social Justice, facing bureaucratic inertia, Naukashahi Jarta, and societal prejudice, Samajik Purvagra, what concrete steps would you take? How would you uphold constitutional morality, equality, dignity, non-discrimination against these pressures? What ethical values are at stake here? Think about dereliction of duty, accountability, empathy, integrity, courage, upholding rule of law.
A tough situation for a bureaucrat. How to balance rules, morality, and prejudice.
Caselet 2 related to technology, growth, ethical governance. Reflecting on large tech investments like Google's AI hub, as a policymaker, how would you balance the pursuit of economic growth, Arthik Vikas, and job creation with ethical concerns like data sovereignty, potential surveillance risks, and algorithmic bias? How would you navigate the dilemma between public good and private profit? What mechanisms would you propose to ensure transparency and accountability from powerful tech corporations? Think about economic development versus digital sovereignty, public good versus private profit, precautionary principle, fairness, justice.
Growth versus ethical concerns. A constant dilemma in tech policy. Okay, now a quick roundup of places, persons, reports that were in the news today. Very important for prelims.
Places: Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, location of the proposal Google AI hub; Bolpur, West Bengal, where the WW bomb was found; Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, reported site of the ongoing Army Commanders Conference; Kittur, Karnataka, Rani Chennamma's kingdom.
Persons. Rani Chennamma, Queen of Kittur, early freedom fighter; Rajnath Singh, Raksha Mantri, Chair of DSC; V. Narayanan, ISRO Chairman; CJI, Govt, whose remarks on judiciary as guardian and moral conscience were relevant to the transgender rights issue.
Reports: World Economic Outlook WEO by the IMF, which warned about the AI boom versus .com bubble. RBI report on payment systems highlighting RTGS dominance.
And let's lock in some crucial numbers from today's discussion.
79,000 crore. 79,000 crore. Value of defense proposals approved by DAC. Repeat, 79,000 crore dollars.
Google's planned investment for the AI hub in Visakhapatnam. Repeat, $15 billion.
90%.
90%. The percentage of development work completed for the Gaganyaan mission. Repeat, 90%.
2027.
2027. The target year for the first crewed Gaganyaan mission. Repeat, early 2027.
200 years.
200 years. Anniversary of Rani Chennamma's 1824 victory being commemorated. Repeat, 200 years.
25%.
25%. The mandatory minimum balance to be maintained in EPFO accounts under new reforms. Repeat, 25%.
12 months.
12 months. The new uniform minimum service period required for partial withdrawal from EPFO. Repeat, 12 months.
And very brief insights from today's editorials. Just the core facts. On EPFO reforms, the main aim of reforms is balancing immediate liquidity needs with long-term retirement security. Key changes highlighted: simplification into 3 withdrawal categories, a 75% cap on most withdrawals due to the 25% minimum balance rule, longer waiting periods for final settlement, 12 months for PF, 36 months for EPS, and a push for auto-settlement. The future vision points towards Aadhaar-linked portable accounts like a Citizen Social Security Account, CSSA, potentially including gig workers. A structural flaw noted is that employer-linked accounts often lead to orphaned accounts when people change jobs.
Okay. EPFO balance and future vision.
On transgender rights, editorials echoed the SC's criticism of centrist states for rendering the 2019 Act ineffective, dead letters, due to a grossly apathetic attitude. Specific implementation failures emphasized were the lack of basic infrastructure like separate washrooms, wards, and the non-functionality of state welfare boards. This situation persists despite the clear mandate from the 2014 NALSA judgment, pointing to a severe failure of executive will and accountability.
Transgender rights implementation gap highlighted again. Perfect. Now for the super quick prelims facts round. Fire away.
Rapid revision.
Special intensive revision. SIR, what is it?
ECI's comprehensive door-to-door exercise for creating a fresh electoral roll. The first such nationwide effort in about 2 decades.
Defense Acquisition Council, DAC. What's its role?
The highest body for defense procurement decisions, chaired by the Raksha Mantri.
Gaganyaan mission.
India's ambitious first human spaceflight mission, aiming for low Earth orbit, LEO, at around 400 km altitude.
Vyomitra. Who is she?
ISRO's humanoid robot designed to fly on the uncrewed Gaganyaan test flights to simulate human presence.
Nag missile system. NAMIS. What type of missile?
Indigenous, third generation, fire and forget anti-tank guided missile.
Landing platform docks, LPDs. What are they?
Large amphibious warfare ships designed for transporting troops and equipment for expeditionary missions and HADR.
Google's AI hub. Where? Investment amount.
Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. Investment amount $15 billion.
IMF's WEO report. Which edition? What warning?
October 2025 edition. Warned about the current AI boom's potential risks compared to the dot-com bubble.
NIOS. Full form. Recent news.
National Institute of Open Schooling.
Recent news.
AICTE mandated equal recognition for its students in technical education admissions.
Rani Chennamma,
Hoof!
Queen of Kittur, Karnataka, led an early rebellion against the British in 1824.
EPFO reforms. Key changes.
Mandatory 25% minimum balance. Uniform 12-month service period for partial withdrawals. Extended waiting periods for final settlement.
UPI versus RTGS. Dominance. UPI leads in transaction volume, number of transactions. RTGS leads in transaction value, total amount transferred, as per the recent RBI report.
Excellent. And now some mains practice questions based on today's detailed discussion. Ponder over these.
Question 1, GS Paper 2, Polity and Governance. The Election Commission of India's decision to conduct a pan-India Special Intensive Revision SIR of electoral rolls after 2 decades is a significant step towards enhancing electoral integrity. Critically analyze the potential benefits of this exercise alongside the associated administrative, logistical, and socio-political challenges, particularly concerning voter inclusion. 250 words.
Question 2, GS Paper 3, Security. The recent approval of defense acquisitions worth 79,000 crore rupees by the Defense Acquisition Council reflects India's evolving security priorities and emphasis on Atmanirbhar Bharat. Discuss how the specific platforms approved for the Army, Navy, and Air Force cater to the contemporary challenges of a potential two-front conflict and India's power projection aspirations in the Indian Ocean region. 250 words.
Question 3, GS Paper 3, Economies, Sci-Tech. Large-scale foreign direct investment in critical digital infrastructure such as the proposed Google AI hub in Visakhapatnam offers immense economic opportunities for India's digital transformation. However, it also raises significant concerns regarding data sovereignty, algorithmic bias, and strategic autonomy. Examine this statement critically.
250 words.
Question 4, GS Paper 2, Social Justice. Despite progressive legislation like the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019 and landmark judicial pronouncements like NALSA 2014, a significant gap persists between the legal rights conferred upon vulnerable communities and their lived realities. Discuss the reasons for this implementation deficit concerning transgender rights in India and suggest concrete measures to ensure the effective enforcement of social welfare laws.
150 words.
All right, time for a quick quiz. Let's test your attention to detail after that intense session. 5 questions coming your way. Question 1. With reference to the Special Intensive Revision (SIR) of electoral rolls announced by the ECI, which of the following statements is correct? Option A. It is an annual revision process conducted primarily by state election commissions. B. It is the first ever comprehensive revision of electoral rolls being conducted in India since independence. C. Aadhaar number will be accepted as conclusive proof of both identity and citizenship during the process. D. It is a comprehensive door-to-door verification process aimed at creating an accurate roll, unlike the routine annual summary revision.
Question 2. Landing Platform Docks, LPDs, recently approved for acquisition by the Defense Acquisition Council, are primarily intended to enhance the Indian Navy's capability in which domain? A. Coastal surveillance and patrol. B. Anti-submarine warfare detection. C. Amphibious warfare operations and power projection. D. Ballistic missile defense shield.
Question 3. The recent IMF World Economic Outlook report compared the current AI boom to the dot-com bubble. What was cited as a key difference between the two? A. The AI boom is primarily driven by government investments, unlike the private sector-led dot-com boom. B. Many leading AI firms today are highly profitable, and the current boom relies less on debt financing compared to the dot-com era. C. The dot-com bubble was exclusively a phenomenon in the United States market. D. The IMF predicts that the AI boom will not have any significant impact on global productivity growth.
Question 4. The humanoid robot Vyomitra, designed to fly on uncrewed test flights, is specifically associated with which flagship mission of ISRO? A. Chandrayaan-4 lunar exploration. B. Mangalyaan-2 Mars orbiter mission. C. Gaganyaan human spaceflight mission. D. Aditya L2 solar observation mission.
Question 5. The recent reforms approved by the Employees Provident Fund Organization, EPFO, include which of the following provisions? 1. Merging all 13 previous reasons for partial withdrawal into a single universal category. 2. Mandating a minimum balance of 25% of total contributions to be maintained in the PF account. 3. Reducing the waiting period for final settlement of the pension EPS component to just 1 month after leaving service. 4. Establishing a uniform minimum service period of 12 months for eligibility for any partial withdrawal. Select the correct answer using the code given below. A. 1 and 3 only. B. 2 and 4 only. C. 1, 2 and 4 only. D. 2, 3 and 4 only.
Okay. Got your answers locked in? Here are the correct answers. Answer 1 is D. SIR is a comprehensive revision by ECI, distinct from annual summary revision. A is wrong, ECI, not annual. B is wrong, done before, but first in 2 decades. C is wrong, Aadhaar only for identity, not citizenship. Answer 2 is C. LPDs are fundamentally amphibious warfare ships used for power projection and expeditionary missions. Answer 3 is B. The key difference highlighted by the IMF report is the profitability and lower debt reliance of major AI players today compared to many .com era startups. Answer 4 is C. Vyomitra is the humanoid robot specifically developed for ISRO's Gaganyaan human spaceflight mission program. Answer 5 is B. Statement 1 is incorrect, merged into 3 categories, not 1. Statement 3 is incorrect, pension settlement waiting period was extended to 36 months, not reduced. Statements 2, 25% minimum balance, and 4, 12-month uniform service period for partial withdrawal are correct features of the reforms. So only 2 and 4 are correct.
All right, let's wrap up with the key takeaways from our detailed analysis of the news from 24th October 2025.
First, ECI's nationwide Special Intensive Revision, SIR, of electoral rolls is a massive undertaking for accuracy, but it faces significant logistical, administrative, and socio-political challenges, especially concerning the inclusion of vulnerable groups.
Second, the Supreme Court's sharp critique of government inaction on implementing the Transgender Persons Act underscores a critical governance gap and implementation deficit, forcing judicial intervention to protect fundamental rights.
Third, the new EPFO reforms represent a complex attempt to balance the competing needs for member liquidity during emergencies and preserving adequate savings for long-term retirement security, using mechanisms like minimum balance and longer waiting periods.
Fourth, Google's huge $15 billion AI hub investment in Visakhapatnam is a major potential boost for India's digital economy and strategic positioning, but it comes with significant concerns about data sovereignty and algorithmic dependence. This coincides with the IMF's global warning about a potential AI bubble resembling the .com era, posing risks for integrated economies like India.
Fifth, the DAC's approval of 79,000 crore rupees worth of defense deals signals a continued focus on enhancing capabilities for a two-front scenario with systems like NAMIS and projecting power in the Indian Ocean region, notably with LPDs for the Navy, while strongly pushing the Atmanirbhar Bharat agenda in defense.
Sixth, ISRO's Gaganyaan mission is making strong progress, reported to be 90% complete, keeping the target for India's first crewed spaceflight in early 2027 firmly in sight.
Seventh, AICTE's directive mandating equal recognition for NIOS students is a welcome step towards greater educational equality and inclusivity, validating open schooling.
And finally, we remembered the courage and legacy of Rani Chennamma of Kittur on the 200th anniversary of her 1824 victory, celebrating early resistance heroes and the diverse history of India's freedom struggle. Absolutely fantastic recap.
Bilkul.
And here's a thought to carry with you today, aspirants. Martin Luther King Jr. once profoundly said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." आपकी ये इंटेंस प्रेपरेशन, ये घंटों की पढ़ाई, ये सिर्फ एक एग्जाम पास करने के लिए नहीं है. It's fundamentally a fight to become part of a system that actively strives for justice, for equality, for good governance, Shushasan.
Sahi kaha.
Every hour you study, every concept you understand, brings you one step closer to being an agent of that positive change India needs. So stay consistent, stay focused, absorb this information, and always remember the larger purpose behind your hard work. इस एनालिसिस को दोबारा जरूर सुने, perhaps it is slower speed, ताकि concepts और connections बिल्कुल crystal clear हो जाएं.
बिल्कुल, repetition is key.
And if you found this detailed analysis valuable, if it helped you understand today's crucial developments better, then please do us a small favor. Hit that like button, share this with your fellow aspirants who might benefit, leave your thoughts or questions in the comment section below, and most importantly, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sunlo UPSC. Your support keeps us going.
Please subscribe करें.
And yes, if you want access to all our premium content, including exclusive sessions and materials, consider joining our membership for just ₹299. You can find the link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with another detailed breakdown. Keep learning, keep growing. Jai Hind.